So I have great news. I finally think I finished my Zachary. And this is pretty much all of it, what it is. Let me just do one quick thing though. Let me just do this real quick and then it'll pretty much be finished. That goes there. So this is my Zachary, and that's how tall it is. So I've incorporated a lot into this, and I literally don't have that much connects left, and I just don't know what to do with them, so I've pretty much finished it. There's like a few pieces of equipment that would be in my imagination on here. It's a little crooked, so just ignore that part about it, because I don't know how to fix that, so yeah. See how it kind of leans. So here, these are just little extra. This thing actually would be able to push up the tire, say if you ever wanted to pump it up. This part right here is actually a mower along with this part right here, and then this one over here. So my machine also has a sprayer on it, which in my imagination would be able to spray crops with weed killer or whatever. My machine is charged basically by wind and solar power because I have one generator right here, which in my imagination will be a solar panel, and then this top one up here, and here's another wind generator. Some of these wheels are also wind generators. These things right here are actually end guns that I put on my machine. This is also a wind generator. Right here, this is actually a drone that can spray crops too if I wanted it to. And it can also just do what a drone does, just fly around. These things are like little beacons. This thing's like a little GPS for me. And then I have a new idea for a windshield wiper. Is this. It just comes straight up and then straight down. And then these little camera type things, which I'm turning here, are actually just like little washers that can turn and slide over so you can get the whole windshield. Like, say if you couldn't see part of it because it was so dirty or something, like if you couldn't see, like if someone was coming, then this way you would. Or some people are picky about it. So then I have over here, I have my long hinge because this way. And then just ignore this part down here. This was kind of just to help stop my machine from leaning like it is. So my hinge can attach all of these plus this stuff all around over here too. And then this part, so what some of this does is this here to me in my imagination is like a post hole digger. These are just some of this thing would be able to pick up like little branches and stuff that are too big, but this thing over here can pick up, like in my imagination, bigger branches and stuff. I call it like a little grabber, like you've seen in Legos, I guess. And then this is just another, like a little digger for me if I want. And then in my imagination, it would even be able to like dig a trench to plant a garden or whatever. And then I just have like other little cameras on here. Like right here is a camera in my imagination. Because like in my imagination, this you just turn it a little and it looks like kind of like a camera. Then this thing is just kind of, it can be a sprayer or a camera also, whatever I want it to be kind of. Other little hinges. These little red things, and I have a few green ones. In my imagination, in my imagination, my hinge could also pick up litter and stuff, whatever I wanted. Then I have these down here, which in my imagination could also like dig like a trench or whatever, kind of in my imagination. And then over here, this is just like a little camera or like magnifying glass or whatever I want it to, or maybe like a telescope or something, whatever I kind of want it to be. This thing here, this little ball thing, it's kind of just whatever I want it to be. This thing is like a I don't know, like a tester for stuff, I guess, if I wanted it to be. Same with this one, I just added some extra hinge to utilize. Then back here, this is not really a hinge, but in my imagination, this is actually a crane that can kind of come up and down, because this way what I did this, so that way then it can kind of come in and like just grab it in my imagination. And then this is another one of those wind generators I have. It moves, but I just got a lot of stuff on here. It moves, but it doesn't. Give me a minute and I'll move it. Boop. There, like that, because they just spin in my imagination and charge it. Because in my imagination, my machine's only going to run on non-acidic batteries, because this way it's more environmentally friendly, even though I already kind of have like other stuff on it too. And then these are like little cameras here. If you can kind of see this part right here where I'm pointing at, that actually is able to zoom in like when I'm harvesting, because front mower can detach. And then also my tires are I have 8 tires, and then this little thing just kind of pushes it up, because sometimes it's been kind of, give me a moment, it just broke off again. Poop. Stop breaking. But, I mean, again, it's all in my imagination, which you get the idea. And then it just kind of pushes up, because see how my machine kind of leans. It's been doing that. I tried to put a different piece on there. Are you going to do much? A little bit. There, that'll stay. These things here are like little turn signals in my imagination. The big wheels in my imagination are meant for mud, ice, and snow. And in my imagination, they would be able to poke spikes out for ice when you're going over ice and stuff. And then these things, sorry if I'm switching everywhere, but these are like this is another little camera I can use for my hinge. Like in my imagination, it would be able to spray my machine like if it got all dirty and stuff. And then this piece right here, and then this one too, these all can actually, in my imagination, in my imagination, they all can actually come pick up grain and stuff, and then in my imagination, they can spit the rocks and stuff out, because it would sort all that. And then my machine also can pick up litter and like recycle it properly, like how it's supposed to be recycled. And then this is just another little digger that I can attach on my hinge in my imagination to make trenches or whatever. So let me check. And then I have back here like a little hitch right here that I can use in my imagination. It'd only be one-sided. So that's kind of what that is. So let me get on the other side here. And then in my imagination, my machine can actually like center something. Like, say if you needed to make a circle, this thing right here that I'm kind of messing with would be able to make a circle. Like, say if you didn't know where like the middle of a circle would be, this would make a circle. This is just another one of those little end guns that can squirt water out in my imagination. This was that grabber I told you about. Another little digger in my imagination. And then this is also a sprayer over here. And then actually, on the back, I'm gonna change that here in a little bit though. I want to put my imagination said to me that I had an idea. What if an auger could hinge like on a combine? It could hinge. Because I'm going to put it up here somewhere, like, I don't know where. If I move some of this stuff around, I might be able to fit it on. But I want to, like, because sometimes you have the auger, like, here's my finger. The auger actually doesn't, most of them, like, they used to go, like, straight out. But with combines, you don't want it to go too low when you're going over it. Like, say if you're going over a terrace, it would be cool if you could hinge it up. Like, just push a little button and it would hinge whenever you needed it to. So that way then it could do that. And then also on the back, I also have like a grain cart auger that I can use if I wanted it to. And then also, I forgot to mention on this side, this is actually a drive over thing, like you would just to unload grain from like a semi or whatever. And then that's another part of the mower. So I think I've covered everything that I can think of. on the machine itself, and I actually have a little turn signal in back too. So, and then then I just have little extra hinges and stuff, because I guess this could even be like a beacon or like a digger. I don't know, just some poke. In my imagination, it could even be like a punch or something to make holes, I guess. And then over here, I actually figured out this is my baler in a way, because in my imagination, this part would be able to detach and fold up like an actual baler kind of. I thought about leaving it square, but I'd rather have it more of a circle. Then this part actually comes down and then just kind of goes up like that, and then it kind of picks up the straw or grass or whatever and makes a bale. And in my imagination, I guess it could be square too if I wanted it to, just whatever I wanted it to. And then in my imagination, this tall thing is a tower, because in my imagination it would be a Wi-Fi tower, which actually you could just connect to Wi-Fi anywhere. And then this thing is basically just a scraper to scrape, like if you wanted to level ground or whatever. And then I have a little conventional vehicle, it does kind of whatever this machine of mine does. It also runs only on battery and solar power. Well, mainly solar power, but in my imagination because these just spin in my imagination. And then this thing right here, this is a tree cutter, because in my imagination, this part right here wouldn't be right here, and it'd just kind of snap off and hold it like one of those giant tree cutters you see every now and then. Because I've noticed some of those on my farming simulator I play, and that's how I got the idea, because some of them are like that. Give me a moment to get that on. So that's how that kind of works. And the bottom part just spins like an actual tree cutter does. Maybe I can get it on, I don't know. Ugh, give me a moment. Because then it there we go. Because see that, then this kind of attaches there, and then this bottom part in my imagination spins to cut the tree. And then in my imagination, this is mainly a draper header, but it actually in my imagination can cut corn or whatever I want it to. So that's kind of what that does. Then this is like a trencher. This kind of it looks kind of like a weird Ferris wheel, but it's a trencher that actually kind of does what it does. So that's kind of how that works, because it just spins, and then these kind of spin to get the dirt off to the side like a trencher would. Then this here is just another little sprayer I have. Then I also have a front loader, which I finally kind of got to build, because then it just comes up, hold on just a moment. It kind of just comes up like this, because this is like a bucket loader in my imagination. But in my imagination, this can switch off for this part right here, which in my imagination it can be a bale spike, or in my imagination it can pick up like pallets or whatever. And then I have a few more things I'll show you. I'm just gonna face it towards myself. Plus I gotta fix a little something too. Give me a moment, I'm still working on it. There we go. Grab that. So I actually finally built like an air seeder of sorts, because this part right here kind of attaches to here, and then I can just use like a few extra pieces to attach it, so that the seeds would come into the drill and it would plant it. Because in my imagination, this would be like opening it up so that the seeds would fall in, and these would plant it. And then this is like the the seeder that puts all the seeds in, because that's why the wire's there, is to flow it to there. And then what happens is this would come down in my imagination, and then it would like kind of like I'm kind of doing is it would in my imagination it wouldn't be as it'd like come down like this, and then they'd like the seeds would come into here for fertilizer, and then seeds, and then it'd just kind of come back up and like rest how I had it. And then over here, this is like a little forklift in my imagination I can attach to my machine. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is actually what we on our farm my uncle actually uses anhydrous ammonia, so that's kind of what this could be. And then my imagination, this would just be like a little jack, and it just kind of jack up and down in my imagination. And then over here, this big long thing in my imagination is actually like a big pivot that I can put on my machine, but I dare not put it on, mainly because it all collapsed, as you can kind of tell how it was already kind of leaning back there. So yeah, and then in my imagination, it just kind of spins and waters the crop. So, and then I also have this, which in my imagination, say I had like a normal sized toy bale, or like whatever size toy bale or something. In my imagination, this would actually, it would like, in my imagination, this would actually like raise, at the same time, it would raise up and lower. Like it would be able to pick up a bale, and then it kind of come up at the same time. Oops. Oop. Because these would raise up and pick up a bale that I could use. And then this right here in my imagination, this thing is actually a tree cutter in my imagination, because I know when we went to the ranch or somewhere, my dad has this tree cutter for his skid steer, which in my imagination could also attach to the front loader that I can attach. And then I also built a swather of sorts that can attach to my front. So in my imagination, it would be able to attach, like, swath whatever I want, like grass or alfalfa, or pretty much whatever I want it to anyway. Just like, because it just kind of turns in my imagination, and it'd work a little bit better, and then, yeah. And then, last but not least, I actually made a remote, means I can't actually drive, so in my imagination, this could be a remote to control my machine, which can attach all of this stuff and control whatever I want. So this would be like your average steering wheel like you would see in my imagination. This would be like a joystick that you can move around, which I kind of had a little trouble doing for a while. And then these are like little cameras I can use, and then this is like the signal thing that goes to it, and that's what that does. There were some on here, but yeah. So, and then these are like little cameras that I can see what my machine sees, and that's why there's so many cameras. And then in my imagination, I can also say, like, for example, in my imagination, I can actually, like, say, Zachary, go to field 43 and harvest, or go to field 90, or go to Denman's and sow, or go check cows, or whatever I want it to. And I think I've covered pretty much everything I can think of for my machine, but let me double check. Because, like, these could even be like a little punch or something to, like, make holes with. And then just some of these are just other little extras that I use. And then I forgot to mention it also, I call it a double grain tank extension because it has a roof on top of it to hold more grain. And then this way you could leave it outside of the shed, so then it can actually, then it wouldn't actually be getting rain on it in it, and it wouldn't like get wet. And then some of these circles are also just more wind generators and stuff. So, yeah, and then a lot of my wind generators can twist. That way, in my imagination, it would be able to sense which way the wind is facing, so then it could do it like a real wind generator. In my imagination, my machine can also load and unload grain from like semis and go into the grain bins and stuff. And I mean, in my imagination, my cab even actually has like a little steering wheel and stuff, and it even has like a little food recycle like in the Jetsons. It's that little green thing back here, if I can reach it without breaking it. Like this thing right here in my imagination. Here, let me see. Like this thing right here that I'm pointing at, it's a little food recycle, so it would just spit out all my favorite foods. And then I forgot to mention, this is my drone, which kind of, in my imagination, it does what a drone does, and it just sprays and stuff. More wind generators up here, my solar panel. And then this is like a little camera, because I'll show you it up closer. This would be like the thing, and then this, yeah, it's just a camera in my imagination. I think I've covered everything that I can think of for my Zachary. I don't know if I would spell it Zacharch or CK at the end. I don't know. But, I mean, there's just other little knickknacks that do things and pretty much whatever. So, that's my Zachary.